بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ نامعة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة وأكواب موضوعة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم صدق الله العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا ولد ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك، فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه، السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذن لي أن أدخل معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال: السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال: يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له: وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت: السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال: وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال: اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل فقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء. فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
قبلة इजाजत है। बावाज़ बुलंद सलवात पढ़ दीजिए।
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद व
हासिल जिसे आका की हुजूरी हो जाए हासिल जिसे आका की दुनिया के गम और रंज से جائے اے صلی علی مجلس پر نور حسین اے صلی علی مجلس پر نور حسین ناری بھی یہاں آئے تو نوری ہو حاصل جسے آقا کی بابا سے بلند صلوات پڑھ دیجئے. ربط مرثیہ کے لیے انتخاب کے ساتھ ایک سوز مناسبت جو ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ وہ ایام ہیں کہ اہل حرم جو ہیں مدینہ واپسی کو سامنے رکھتے ہوئے بآواز بلند صلوات پڑھ دیجئے. اللہم صلی علی محمد وعلی محمد وعجل فجر. یثرب سے کربلا کے مسافر قریب ہیں یثرب سے کربلا کے مسافر قریب ہیں لٹ کر پھرے وطن کو عجب غم نصیب ہیں اس حال سے حبیب خدا کے حبیب ہیں بے کس ہیں سوگوار امام غریب ہیں حضرت کے بعد چین کی شکلیں بگڑ گئیں حضرت کے بعد چین کی شکلیں بگڑ گئیں شہزادیاں غضب کی تباہی میں پڑ گئے یثرب سے کربلا کے فاتحہ. الرحمن الرحیم مالک یوم الدین ایاک نعبد و ایاک نستعین اهدنا الصراط المستقیم صراط الذین انعمت علیہم غیر المغضوب علیہم۔ زینب نے کہا صغرا سے ہم آئے ہیں بی بی، زینب نے کہا صغرا سے ہم آئے ہیں بی بی، گھر بھر کا تیرے داغ جگر لائے ہیں بی بی، چھڑوا کے تیرے چاہنے والوں سے مدینہ، چھڑوا کے تیرے چاہنے والوں سے مدینہ، اجڑا ہوا میدان بسا آئے ہیں بی بی، لکھا ہے چھوٹ کے یثرب میں جب حرم آئے، لکھا ہے چھوٹ کے یثرب میں جب حرم آئے، سروں کو پیٹتے باسد غم و علم آئے، باپا تھا غلحرم سید امم آئے، بیان کرتے تھے سجاد رو کے ہم آئے، بیان کرتے تھے سجاد رو کے ہم آئے، تمام کنبے کو مقتل میں کھو کے آئے ہیں، بجائے تحفہ 72 کے داغ لائے ہیں، مدینے والوں ہمیں کربلا نے لوٹ لیا، یتیم میں ہوا بابا ہوئے شہید جفا، ہوئے اسیر ستم اہل بیت ویلا، برہنہ پا مجھے تا شام لے گئے آدھا، برہنہ پا مجھے تا شام لے گئے آدھا، جو تھمتا تھا تو جفا آشکار ہوتی تھی، کہ پشت دروں سے میرے فگار ہوتی تھی، گئے رسول کے روضے پا جس گھڑی سجا، لپٹ کے قبر مبارک سے تب یہ کی فریاد، خبر ہے آپ کو بھی ہم پہ کیا ہوئے بیدار، کہ دوپہر میں ہوا سارا گھر کا گھر برباد، کہ دوپہر میں ہوا سارا گھر کا گھر برباد،
تمہاری آل پہ رنجو علم کثیر ہوئے، حسین قتل ہوئے اور حرم اسیر ہوئے، چلے مکان کو روتے امام جن و بشر، تمام قافلہ تھا ساتھ ساتھ نوحہ، وفور غم ہوا دیکھا جو خانہ اداسی چھائی ہے، خاک اڑ رہی ہے ڈیوڑی پر، اداسی چھائی ہے، خاک اڑ رہی ہے ڈیوڑی پر، یہ غیر حال ہوا غم سے جان کھونے لگے، امام دیکھ کے سنسان گھر کو رونے لگے، غرض اتر چکے ناقوں سے جب کہ اہل ہر بچھائی بیویوں نے گھر میں تب صفے کہا یہ فاطمہ صغریٰ نے کیوں نہ ہو مجھے غم ملی نہ آ کے سکینہ بھی مجھ سے ہائے، ملی نہ آ کے سکینہ بھی مجھ سے ہائے ستم، پکاری بانو وہ جی سے گزر گئی صغریٰ، سکینہ شام کے زندہ میں مر گئے صغریٰ، پکاری بانو وہ جی سے گزر گئے صغریٰ، سکینہ شام کے زندہ میں مر گئے صغریٰ، لکھا ہے چھوٹ کے التماس دعا بھائی.
I would now like to request Moulana Syed Imran Taqvi to begin the Fazal Ahlulbayt alayhi salam. Par Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على الرسول النبي الأمي الذي أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه سراجا منيرا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم مصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الغر الميامين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المبين قوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, but I mean, it's heartwarming to see the faces I had seen yesterday to return, and they've come back. So alhamdulillah, something's right and something's right. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and protect your parents, and Allah safeguard you, and Allah elevate your maqam and understanding and the qurb to Him through the Ahlulbayt alayhimu salatu salam. Please recite the salawat on Muhammad wa alihi. The topic or the subject for today, so I'm honest to the subject, I'll read off the phone: upholding Islam in the face of Western culture allure. So you have Western culture and you have Islam. Zahiran, apparent on a face level, there might be a clash and there might be opposition. Islam calls to something, the West pulls you towards something. There's an allure there, there's an attraction there, there's forces at play, there's repulsion and there's attraction. And inshallah we'll discuss this in a few points. If I can ask for those boys sitting in the back, unless you need to sit on the chair, can I have some of you come up here? Is that okay, please? Sorry for calling you out. It'd be nice to engage when everyone's close by. Unless you need to, you don't mind coming up here? Yeah, thank you, Jazakallah. Please recite the salawat Muhammad wa alihi Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. वो आसान रहता है, मुस्तकबिल आँखों के सामने रहे तो फिर नज़र अच्छी रहती है. सलावत भेजते मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद पर. Islamic values. The West has their values. We may often notice a clash. How do we navigate when this happens? First of all, the three things I'd like to break down this talk into is Islamic identity, what it means to have an Islamic identity. Second, what are Western values? And number three is how do we navigate and what strategies can we use to live here and work with here? The first thing is to identify what Islamic values are. Like I mentioned last night, if you don't know who you are, where you are, you don't know where to go. First of all, the first thing we start with doing is study the self, identify the self, know the self. Those who are acquainted with history, those who've read history, know that the Eastern world, namely especially the subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal and places of such, were a colony for the Western powers or the East India Company or the British Samraj or the British rule. They did not just show up overnight on ships, set sail and then took over. They studied civilization. They understood the nature of people. They understood the religions that were predominant. They understood the mindset and the cultures, what they hold close, what they like, what they respect, what they love, what they worship, what they hate, the friends, the enemies, their customs. Once they were able to identify the people they were supposedly to rule over, it was easier for them to integrate with society and then establish an authority for the monarchy that was the crown. This is recorded history. Everybody knows this. This is how they operated. Now, you find yourself here in the West. You find yourself in Western civilization, Western countries, America, Canada, the United Kingdom, Europe. Very distant, very far from Islamic religious values that we hold true. This is how one would perceive it. This is how one would see it. We the Muslims, them the West. This is the narrative you hear sometimes. And the far east you go, the louder it gets. For instance, nobody condones terrorism. Nobody glorifies terrorism. But there was this Nigerian terrorist group called Boko Haram. They were very anti-West. Anything that is education, anything that was secular, they're against it. Boko Haram literally translates into books are haram. When they meant books, Boko in their dialect, when they meant books, they meant secular books, science, the knowledges we learn and utilize here. This was their way of fighting the foreigners, the outsiders. This was their way of keeping their culture very tight, very protected. What they value to keep close. As a parent, you would understand this better. And if your friends operate in small troves, for instance, you have a circle of friends, yes, in your class, you have a group of friends, 2 or 3 people you hang out with always. As soon as an outsider comes, you're suspicious of this outsider. He says, who is this person? What is his intention? What does he want? Everybody just started school right now, so you've moved from your previous class to your new class, and then in your new class you'll have new people sometimes show up. So the familiar friend that you have, the one you've been with for the last 2-3 years, you have an understanding. As soon as a new person shows up, you're like, who is this person? What does he want? And sometimes you're friendly towards him, and sometimes you're like, I don't want him on my team. Our team is perfect. I don't want to play with this new kid. This is human behavior. They don't like others. They don't like outsiders. And sometimes, unfortunate reality, people grow up, but the child inside them does not grow up. So one of my teachers, Allah give him a long life, says, I've met 15-year-old men and I've met 60-year-old children. That is a reality, it's a fact. Sometimes you meet someone who's 15, 16, 17, 18. For instance, war zones, places like Gaza, for instance. A child who's 14 years old and has gone through something, he's experienced what he's experienced in Palestine right now, he does not have the same attractions and he does not fall for the same things you want. When, inshallah, they come out of this episode, that child is not like any other 15-year-old you've met, because he's witnessed life differently. That his goals and his ambitions and his objectives and what he wants in life and what he values in life is different. We may take our family for granted, but a child in war does not take his parents for granted. We may take food. Mama, I don't feel like having broccoli today. I don't feel like having my vegetables today. It's because you take it for granted. It's available, you have it. But those people who come from difficult times understand what it means to have a scarce resource. What it means not to have running water. What it means not to have hot water. What it means, all these blessings that we take for granted. Hamara sara rona, all of our gham is that the new game I want is 15 pounds more expensive than I budgeted it. And now that's a problem. Happens. This is what we're involved with. This is what we engaged with. You see my young kids and young boys. An example I'll use is, anyone like soccer over here? Football. Sorry, they call it football here, not soccer. Anybody like football here? Anybody play football here? All right, good. What do you say? You're good at the game, football? You're good at football? Right? So there's a group of people you play football with every single day. You come back from school, you put on your kit, you put on your shoes, you go outside, you play football. If you play with the same group of people every single day, you learn how they play, and you're playing the opposing team, or your opponent is always the same person, you'll only be as good, as strong as the one opposition is. But when you leave what is familiar and you go to another neighborhood and you play a stronger team, initially you might lose, but if you persist, you'll become stronger. And the more you upscale and the more you upgrade, and the more stronger the opposition is, the stronger your game becomes. You lose a game, you lose another game, you lose a season. But if you persist and you understand how you play the game and how the enemy perceived or how the opposition plays, you learn how they play. And when you play like them, one day you will best them and you'll become better than them. And this is how human beings grow. And this is how human beings develop. Anybody like going to the gym? You're too young for it right now, but yes. Imagine you go to the gym and you're pushing weight, right? I'm not going to flex here, but I used to be able to push weight once upon a time before I injured myself. But imagine you pushing weight and you're bench pressing, 35, 40 kilos? Imagine you doing 40 kilos every single day, or let's say 3 times a week, for 1 year. Is there any growth? Every coach, every trainer, every mentor will say there's no growth. Today is 35, tomorrow is 37, day after is 40, and the more weight you add, the more you'll grow. The more the opposition, the better you become. There's a need for opposition. There has to be tension, there has to be resistance for growth to become. An example for those who've read books. Philosophy is a subject now inculcated, incorporated in Islamic sciences. When you go to Hausa, Mathalan, you study Islamic philosophy, what they call it. There's a lot of opposition towards Islamic philosophy. Many people were against Islamic philosophy. They'd say there's no such thing as Islamic philosophy. It's a foreign science. We have nothing to do with philosophy, for instance. And they'd attack philosophy. And they'd attack the subject of rational thinking within the Islamic sphere. What it did was, the defenders of philosophy became only stronger. Because the more they attacked them, the more their arguments had to be strong. When you're playing football, the stronger the attack, it is good for your defense systems. Your defense will become only stronger by stronger offense. Another example for the children to relate. Imagine I choose one of the boys here, like Muhammad Hadi. Yes, I choose one of the boys and I say, Muhammad Hadi, I'm going to train you in boxing tomorrow. This is an example, Muhammad Hadi. We're not boxing tomorrow, okay? So imagine I choose someone, I pick someone and I say, I will train you in boxing tomorrow. Muhammad Ali comes, he's put his gloves on, and now we're engaging in a sparring session. And every time Muhammad Hadi swings his right hook, I say, oh, this is amazing. You have the most powerful of right hooks I know. Clearly, I'm just boosting his ego. He doesn't. For argument's sake, Muhammad Hadi has a weak right blow, but I keep telling him, it's like, you're amazing. This right blow of yours is gonna, it's gonna take you places. You're the best fighter I've seen. What's going to happen when you go outside? You go outside, you pick a fight, the guy knocks you down and you're out for the count. Why? Because I wasn't honest with you. I did not push you how you were supposed to be pushed. I did not train you as hard as you were supposed to be trained. So when you find yourself out of your comfort zone, let's say here in the West, out of the motherland that is the East, where you have Mecca and Medina and Iraq and Iran, Mashhad and Karbala, familiar grounds. Yes, it is a challenge. Yes, it is challenging. But isn't the fun in the fight where you have to contest and contend and grow and strengthen yourself? I'll tell you, my brothers and my sisters listening upstairs, sometimes because of your integration and because of your interaction with the Ahl Sunnah that you meet here, or the Christians and the Jews and the atheists and the Hindus, your own belief will become deeper and stronger because you have time to reflect and sit back. Imagine you have a belief system, it's never challenged. You don't know if it's right or wrong. It's just a belief. It's just a belief system. The earth is round or is it flat? We don't have any flat earthers here, yes? Is the earth round or is it flat? If it's not challenged, how do we know it? What proves our knowledge? The more we challenge it, the stronger we come back. So the first thing to start with is to accept that the challenge we're in. Not to run away from it. Some people believe, yes, if it's difficult and your deen is in problems, and aslan you cannot practice religion, and you're very afraid, because different people operate differently. There's different temperaments. A man with an attitude says, I can take on this, and another person would realize, you know what, maybe I can't do this, I need to focus on something else, and he chooses to migrate and go. He answers to Allah and you answer to Allah. But if you choose to continue living here, if you choose to continue living in this country, if you choose to continue to play with the same team, up the game, up the ante, become better. Please recite the Salawat Muhammad wa alayhi. First is identifying ourselves, who we are, where we come from. If I was to ask you, who are you? You would say your name first. Then I ask you, what is your madhab, what is your religion? What do you say? My madhab is Islam. And my fiqh is fathalan Shi'i. And my aqidah is Shi'i. This is what you'd say, this is your response. But have you thought down and really thought about, who am I? What is this madhab? What is Islam? What is tashayyur? What does it mean? What are these questions? People ask me. Sometimes, I don't know how the case is in this part of London, but some places in Birmingham is very rough. Kids come up to me in madrasa and say, Moulana, as soon as he found out I'm Shia, he says we cannot be friends anymore. What's wrong with me? I'm like, nothing's wrong. And it hurts them because peer pressure. Imagine as a child. Again, there's so many things we can address here. To my point from yesterday, when we discussed about languages, imagine a child who looks like us. So let's say a brown child. He's left the motherland because the parents decided to leave and migrate, and he's come here to this foreign country. The native won't accept him because you're not white. And you can't go home because you don't speak the mother tongue. Now you're stuck as an outsider. Remember those movies you watched when you were young? That alien who came to the earth and he's stuck, now he's waiting to go home. He can't communicate because there's no home to go back to. And he cannot blend because he's clearly an alien, he's not a human being. So it's very difficult for a child to be in a society that he is right now, that we exist in right now. No access to the motherland, and we're always an outsider. We're always the outsider because we're brown. This is not your home. I don't know how many of you have heard it. Allah keep you protected. This is not your home. Go back home. People tell you stuff. Go back home. Go back home. And the father knows what home is, but the child has no clue what home is. Bradford is home. London is home. Birmingham is home. The UK is home. So now that we're here, how do we integrate? My brothers, and sisters, if you've decided to live in a place, the question you need to ask yourself, and I'll take you back to the Ahlulbayt alayhimu salatu salam. Please recite the Salawat Muhammad wa Muhammad. I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, and you've heard this since you were a child, Imam Ali alayhi salatu salam and his maqam inda Allah and the Rasulullah, his station and his position, how daring and how courageous Imam Ali was. And we can speak about this, and we should speak about this certain times. If the Imam al-Ma'soom speaks about it, we should also speak about it. I can tell you that there in Jannah is a door. On that door is a handle. If you knock the handle, every time the handle knocks, it says, Ya Ali. We have a riwayat. Every time that handle on the door in Jannah, every time it moves off its hinge, the sound that you hear is Ya Ali. I can tell you every time Jibreel would come to Rasulullah, he would say, Allah sends his salam to Ali ibn Abi Talib. I can tell you about Khaybar, and I can tell you about Khandaq. And I can tell you many things till I'm blue in the face, and you won't get tired of listening, because there's the fadila. This is something nice about Imam Ali. Yes. But what I'd like you to focus on, for an instance right now, let's put the divinity of Imam Ali to one side. The supernatural, the super Imam, the all-knowing Imam, the powerful Imam. Put all of that to a side and look at Imam Ali as a regular civilian living either in Mecca or Medina or Kufa. Imam Ali as a human being who lives in Mecca, Medina or Kufa. Yes? Now ask yourself this. Is Imam Ali an asset to the society he lives in, or is Imam Ali a liability to society he lives in? What would you answer? Is Imam Ali an asset to the society he lives in? Forget the divine nature of Imam Ali. Forget how when Rasulullah went to the heavens and he was to a maqam Kaaba Qawsaini aw Adna, he heard the voice of Ali ibn Abi Talib. These are all fadail that belong to Imam Ali and nobody else. But on a very human and on a humane level, Imam Ali, is he an asset or is he a liability? You'd say he's an asset to society. And what would the examples you give me? The examples you'd give me is the man is Khalifatul Muslimin. He controls and he contains all of Arabia. From one border that borders the subcontinent or the Gulf to the other border which reaches Northern Africa. The most powerful man in his time. The most qualified man in his time. The chief of Arabs in his time. Who? Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, yes? On one given day, somebody comes to Imam Ali and he says, Imam Ali, I have fields and in those fields I harvest honey and I have a surplus of honey. I brought all of the honey to Kufa and now the honey is in Kufa. I'd like to gift you that honey. Imam Ali says, take the honey to Baytul Mal. Take the honey to where the Muslims, well, all of their commodities are stored. So the man takes all of the commodity, all the honey to Baytul Mal, call it the financial hub of Imam Ali, where all the money is stored. And then Imam Ali announces that tell the people of Kufa to collect their portion from the honey. Apportion the honey, so every family and every member has their fair share of honey. So the officers who work with Imam Ali, his team sits down and they divide the honey and they say, okay, for every person, every family, this is the honey they'll get. Okay? And then Imam says, now that you've made the announcement, the first ones to get the honey will be the orphans. So he asks the orphan children, those who've lost their parents, the orphan children to line up first. He says, I, Ali ibn Abi Talib, you distribute the honey to the people, I will distribute money with my hands to the orphans. I will distribute money, the honey, with my own hands. This is the head of the state. You know what that means? He's bigger than the prime minister. He's bigger than the president. He's bigger than any governor you've seen. The people before him behaved like kings. You know what Imam Ali does? Imam Ali, when the first yatim, the first orphan approaches him, Imam Ali sits on his knees, on the ground. Sits on his knees, he puts his finger in the honey pot and he puts it in the mouth of the orphan. He feeds the orphan honey with his own finger. And his secretary or his friends are surprised and alarmed, like, Ali, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is this? You're the head of the state, you're sitting on your knees on the street and you're feeding him with your own fingers. Imam Ali says, not only do I want him to taste the sweetness of honey, I also need for him to taste the sweetness of how having a parent feels like. What it feels like to have a father. Now tell me, someone, a head of state, if this is his behavior with the orphans, is he an asset or a liability? He's an asset. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, for the 25 years, 26 years that he was silent. These are the days after Rasulullah has passed away. This is the days when the people showed up at his door, when they threatened Bibi Zahra at her door, when they piled up logs and they put the house on fire, they dragged Imam Ali outside his house. These are the days. Imam Ali was quiet for more than 20 years. What do you think Imam Ali was doing for 20 years? What was Imam Ali doing for 20 years? If you go look in history, unfortunately it's not talked about, but inshallah, given the opportunity, many people will talk about this more. Imam Ali used to dig wells. This is something Imam Ali used to do. Have you ever seen a well? You know what a well is, right? Where you dig a hole in the ground and you go deep. In this part of the world, you have to go, what, 10, 11 feet down, maybe even less. So you dig 10 feet and water comes out, and that's your water source. That's how you supply your house. In Arabia, that's not the case. You have to go, the earth is dry, there's rocks, and you go deep. You have to dig deep. Imam Ali, in those 25 years, has dug more than 111 wells with his own hand, on his own. More than 111 wells. You know what that means? Imagine going to the desert. You walk into a desert, you look around, there's nothing there. The sun above you and the sand below you. There's nothing there. What Imam Ali did was he brought life to that place, and now it's a living creature. The dead earth is now a living habitat. It has plants, it has animals, it has civilization. Why? Because of the well. Who gave life to this dead earth? If not Abu Turab, then who? If not Abu Turab, then who? More than 111 wells. And the Imam would come out after digging the well. The riwayah says, his hands would still be dirty with mud. His sleeves would still be soiled because he just came out of digging a well. He'd ask for paper and pen, and he'd say, bring me a tribesman or the head of the clan that lives close by. And he says, Ali ibn Abi Talib gifts you this land with the condition that you will not ever restrict water for anybody who asks you for it. One well meant a village. That village meant society. Society means civilization. 111, more than 111 wells. Do you understand the gravity of this person, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib? Forget the divine human print, the divine imprint of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu salam. Forget the Jibreel and Mikael and Israfil come and give salam to Ali ibn Abi Talib for a moment. Just how he behaves with people and how he carries himself. How he sits with the aitam, how he talks to the aitam, how he deals with people. Here, I'm not sure about here, but in Pakistan, you find a small minister, jiske paas thodi si zimmedari, a small minister with some small power. Fir'aun looks smaller than him. Sometimes you look, Fir'aun chota lagega, ye zyada pade likhte hain. Where does this Fir'auniya come from? Please recite salawat on Muhammad wa alihi. If you were to meet the head of the state, if you were to go to the principal of your school, for instance, right? Is an important person? Everybody goes up to him, he's always busy running after. Sometimes if they're nice, you talk to them, they're approachable. Many times when people become powerful, they're not approachable. Example, I was with my teacher in Iran, and I think we were going to Mashhad by road. So we took our car from Qom and we were traveling towards Mashhad. On the way, you have these service stations with the toilets. So usually these toilets are privately owned franchises, apparently. So somebody can show up, he can make a toilet on the highway, and he'll sit there on his chair, and he'll have these, those lotas where you have for tahara, those small pots you use to make tahara, to clean yourself, yes? So he'll have them filled up. There'll be 25 of them on the floor. And if you want to use the toilet, you pay him let's say 100 tumans, and you can pick up one of those bottles, you take it to the toilet and you make yourself tired. So there's this man sitting on a chair on the highway. We stopped our car and my teacher went inside. 5-10 minutes, my teacher comes out and he's laughing. And I asked him what's wrong, what's happened. He's like, I thought I saw it all, but I just met Fir'aun in the toilet. It's like, you met Fir'aun in the toilet? How did you meet Fir'aun in the toilet? He says, Bhai, I went there, and there's this man sitting on a chair, and apparently he's in charge. And around him are 20 bottles of water. So I paid him the 100 tuman, and I went to pick up a bottle. He says, don't pick this one. I said, okay. Pick that one. So I go to pick up the other one. He says, no, don't pick that one, pick that one. So now I go to the third place, I pick it up, and I say, why are you making me do this? He says, because I want to. Because I want to. Because this is his power, this is his domain, this is his dominion. Fir'aun told people in Egypt, Ana Rabbukumul A'la. If this man could tell his lotas, he would say exactly that. Ana rabbukumul a'la. So, the scale of moral corruption exists on all spheres. We choose when we strangle our own fara'in. When we kill our own Fir'aun, it is a choice we make. So this man, imagine this man who is so proud because he owns a toilet now. Imagine if he had a big office, if he was responsible for people and finances and important decisions. How would he behave? Do you think a person like that is accessible? Can you approach him and ask him for favors? But someone who has the keys of the heavens and the earth, Ali ibn Abi Talib, do you think if you approach him, he's going to turn you away? Please say salawat on Muhammad wa alihi. The difference between those sent by Allah and those who put themselves prominent, and my brothers and my sisters listening and my little children learn, there is not a price you can put on humility. The more a man is closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more humble he'll become. Be humble. Be humble. Kill the Fir'aun within ourselves. Fir'aun wasn't born a god. Interesting enough, कोई भी बच्चा पैदा होकर नहीं कहता आज मैं खुदाई करूँगा. कोई भी बच्चा ये नहीं कहता मैं बड़े होकर खुदा बनूँगा. But his father was a king. The son is respected. हर आदमी बचपन से everyone's coming to kiss his hand. कहते हैं you are the great one, you are the great one. एक दफ़ा उसको लगने लगता है कि हाँ वाकई मैं कुछ हूँ. तो at the root, at the stem of it, cut it off this problem. Coming back to my point, now you're here in the West. The reasons I gave you this example, now that we're here in the West, the Hindus will say one thing, the Christians will say another thing, the Jews will say a third thing, the people, the agnostic ones, the ones who believe in God, they will say another thing. But my brothers, my sisters, my children, nobody will say dishonesty is a good thing and honesty is a bad thing. Nobody will punish you for punctuality. Nobody will punish you for being upright and a stand-up person. When you're honest, you will be respected. When you respect other people's families, you will be respected. When you honor your word, you will be respected. Because these values are universal. And Islam will always bring you back to these values. Imam Ali alayhi salatu salam says, I was talking, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali. Al-insan adu ma jahil. A man is afraid of what he does not know. Imam Ali says, Al-insanu adu ma jahil. What is the root of fear? Jahl, ignorance. Another example for the kids. When I went to Iran for the first time. So Iran was not like the UAE where I was used to growing up. So they had those Eastern toilets. You've seen those Eastern toilets? Very difficult to use. And then in a corner of the toilet was a cockroach. I was 9, 10 years old. I was afraid of the cockroach because I've never seen a cockroach I've seen it on TV, but imagine a cockroach right in front of you while you're in the toilet, right? So now I tell myself, Imran, don't be afraid. It's fine. It's only a cockroach. It won't harm you. You're bigger than the cockroach. I'm having this self-talk. I'm telling myself, there's a cockroach in the toilet. Don't be afraid of yourself. Don't be afraid. It's not going to do anything. And as soon as I calm myself down, the cockroach starts flying. It's a flying cockroach. I've never heard of something like that. I've never seen a flying cockroach. I run outside the toilet. Why? Al-insan adu ma jahil. A man is afraid of what he is ignorant of. If I know, knowledge's sake, if I know that this cockroach is harmless, I won't be afraid of it. As soon as it started flying, because it tapped into my ignorance, it did something I was not expecting it to do, I became afraid of it. If somebody a friend of yours brings a snake, Arabs have this habit. Sometimes they'll have a snake in their hands. When you look at it, you'll be afraid of the snake. You'll not want to touch it. But somebody says, oh, this is a vegan snake. It won't bite. It only eats plants. It's not poisonous. Then you don't mind touching it. Then you might not mind holding it. Why? Because knowledge has now come and removed the ignorance. Now you're not afraid. Now you're not afraid. What does Allah says? Allahu waliyul ladina amanu. Allah is a friend of those. What does Allah do? What does the wilayah of Allah do? What does the wilayah of Ahlulbayt do? يُخْرِجُهُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. Allah will take you from the darkness of ignorance and bring you to the light of gnosis and mysticism and understanding. When there is no ignorance, there is no fear. When there is no ignorance, there is no fear. Now that you're a part of this society, and another reason for ignorance, and this I don't have time to speak on tonight. Another reason for ignorance is self-preservation. The root of ignorance is self-preservation. You are afraid of something because you're trying to protect yourself. In relationships, in trying something new, in risking an investment, at the end of the day, the root of fear is self-preservation. You're protecting yourself from what? From the unknown. So now you come here and you walk the streets here. And you have the natives here. They speak their English language. You show up and you speak Urdu and Punjabi and Farsi. You're the outsider. They will be afraid. They should be afraid. Till you prove otherwise. Till you prove you are an asset to society and you're not a liability to society. Once you prove that you're an asset in any society you live. When Rasulullah came, when Rasulullah sallallahu, please say salawat Muhammad wa Muhammad. When Rasulullah came to Arabia, when he was born in, where was Rasulullah born? When Rasulullah was born in Mecca, how many Muslims were living in Mecca? Yes. How many Muslims in Mecca? He was the first Muslim, right? But when Rasulullah did Fath Makkah in his life, all of Makkah was Muslim. Why? Because he proved to be an asset to society. He was a threat when he was the unknown. But because of the way he carried himself and his character, he became an asset. And when he became an asset, people were attracted to him. Yes, the West has challenges. You have to study how they operate. You have to study what capitalism is and how consumerism works. What is the individualistic society? And you have to counter all of that with what does consumerism tell you? What does capitalism tell you? Every day Amazon will show you a notification, 20% off, 40% off, 60% off. और जब तक आप खरीद नहीं लेते वो दिखाता रहेगा कि अब और सस्ता हो गया. Why? It understands human nature. सबसे पहले काम है वो नोटिफिकेशन ही बंद कर दें आप. वो ना नोटिफिकेशन आएगी ना आप टेम्प्ट होंगे. You have to, है लोगों, people have addiction of shopping. Some people, they get relief when they start spending money. As long as they're spending their own money, it's not a problem. It's when they start borrowing money, start spending it, that becomes a problem. So some things we identify, and the system is designed to take our time, take our money, take our resources, take our kids, engage them and busy them. To counter it, first of all, understand where you live and understand the political system, understand the economic system, understand their cultures, understand their values, exactly how they studied 200 years ago, how they studied the subcontinent, study the system here. Know the people you'll surround yourself by. If somebody is agitated by your being and how you behave, and he presumes you a threat, tell him you're not threatening. Show him you're not threatening. Behave with him in a manner that is not threatening. Be kind to him. No, let him to realize you're an asset. When you become an asset, the government and those people in charge will automatically want to protect you. It's when they perceive you as a threat and a liability, then they're afraid. I'm not talking on political level because they have their own agendas. उनको तो अपनी ही सियासत है. I'm talking everybody, Joe, the Harry you meet at work, the George you meet at the gas station. Him, is he threatened by your presence? Or does he feel safe around you? Do you make him feel safe? Or is he threatened by you? Do you deal with him with kindness? If you're nice to him, he has nothing to be scared of. I'm talking about everyday people. And this is the akhlaq of Imam al-Hasan sallallahu alayhi sallam. Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba is walking on the streets of Madinat al-Munawwara, and in Sham you have the father of Yazid Mal'un, the Emir, but here in Medina it is still Imam al-Hasan and he's considered the Khalifa. Again, Imam Hassan as the head of the state is the most important person in Medina. He's walking in the streets, you have children sitting in a corner in one of the alleyways, sitting on the ground, and they ask Imam Hassan. He says, "Oh Imam Hassan, can you come to us?" Imam Hassan goes to these children. He says, "Would you join us for lunch?" Chote chote bacche hain, they're sitting in the alleyways. Imam Hassan says yes, and he sits down on the floor on the street. Imam Hassan sits down on the floor on the street with the kids, and they have dates and dry bread. So they start sharing it amongst each other. He gives one of it to his friend, one to Imam Hassan, and he tells Imam Hassan, "This is all I had." And they eat. Head of the state. Who is Imam Hassan? Sayyid al-Shabab al-Jannah. Jannah belongs to Imam al-Hassan. Jannah belongs to Imam al-Hassan, and he's sitting on the ground with these children, eating, entertaining them, being an audience to them. Plays with them. And then after they're done their tea party, Imam Hassan says, "Would you not join me for lunch? Come to my house." Al-Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam takes these children to his house, and then he feeds them good food, and he gives them good clothes, and he sends them on the way. These boys, these children are elated. They're very happy. One of the companions, one of the people who are bystanders, look at Imam Hassan and says, "Imam Hassan, they gave you dates and dry bread, and you gave them good food, and you gave them clothes. You know what? By the looks of it, it's not a good sauda chani and ghate ka sauda. It's not a good proposition. They gave you dry bread and dates, and in return you gave them good food and clothes." You know, Imam Hassan says, this is how he acknowledges each and every one of us. You know what he says? He says, "They gave me everything they had. I gave them some of what I had. They gave me everything they had. I only gave them some of what I had." So when you connect with Imam al-Hasan, and you connect with Imam al-Hussein, and you connect with Amir al-Mu'mineen, when you go for ziyarah, when you call upon these names, they connect to you, they listen to you, and they respond to you. You may not understand that connection, but that connection exists. And they answer and they respond to each and every one. I use the example of a child because I have children sitting in front of me. And the A'immah, the Imams, عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. They're with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah commands us in the Quran, do not call them, do not assume them dead. The shuhada, don't assume them to be dead. بَلْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. They're with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah gives them rizq. If you were to go to Imam al-Hasan right now, let's say Imam al-Hasan was alive right now, and you go to Imam al-Hasan and you say, "Imam Hasan, I'm having problem with mortgages, with my mortgage. Can you help me out financially?" What did Imam Hasan say? "Jao chale aao, nahi hai mere paas." Will Imam al-Hasan, if he can, will he help you, yes or no? So what is the difference with Hasan there in Medina or Hasan in Jannat al-Baqi when Allah says he's alive? When Allah says he's alive, when Allah says Imam Rada is alive, तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है वो जिंदा हो या ज़मीन के नीचे हो? हमारी आँखों के सामने हो, does it make a difference? Allah says he's alive. So if Imam Rada was protecting the deer while he's alive, will he stop the protection after he's passed away? Zahiran. No. Our Imam of the time is alive. Sometimes when we're lost, call upon the Imam. Call out the Imam. Ya Sahib Zaman Adrikna. Imam. And interestingly enough, he's closer to you in your age that you are than to me, a sinner. If I call upon him, he'll listen. But learn more, read more about the Imam of your time. You have your Islamic values and you have the West. The best way to do is to become an asset in wherever you live. You live in North London, become an asset. People look at you and say, this man is an asset to our neighborhood. You're an asset to your classroom. People look at you, it's like the teacher will tell you, I'd rather have you than rather not have you, because of how kind you are, how helpful you are, and how becoming you are. And then multiply that on a bigger scale. School, your classroom, then your ear, then your school, then your neighborhood. The more important you become, the more valuable you become. This is the secret of service. Rasulullah, what does he say? Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Sayyidul Qawmi khadimuhum. When people say, mashallah, you're the head of the state, or you're the head of any tribe, Rasulullah says the head is supposed to be the one who's doing the most service of other people. Are you good to others? Because you have to give your own self value. If you don't value yourself, no one's going to value you. So start adding value. You know how they say, inshallah, when you're older and you're done university and you live in the real world, how they call it, and you start working, they will ask you, upscale and upskill. Agar 10 cheezein aati hain, if you know 10 things, learn the 11th thing and learn the 12th thing and learn the 13th thing, because that is how you add value to yourself. So in your ages right now, the more value you do add to yourself, the more society will become accepting of us. The reason we are overpowered is because we're new here. This is how it is. But once you've lived here and you've proven to be an asset to society, things will change. Not because you need to rule and control and have dominion and show these people. But you just have to be yourself and be the best self. And Allah is giving you the best of examples in the 14 Ma'asumin. Please write the salawat on Muhammad. There was a paper here that is rolled up. There's some questions in it I'd like to address. Okay. No, sorry. Yes, it's. Understand where you're living. Look around. Understand the education system, the political system. many because of persecution. So these Sadat families had to be very tightly knit. They were very close. If you study persecuted communities, like Mathalan, you find some of the Khoja brothers, they're very tightly knit. Why? Because of Idi Amin. Because they had to keep running from place to place to place. Right? So when people are running and they're afraid, they become very tightly knit. And they have to be very careful who they mix with, who they integrate with. Because now this Sadat family, they're holding on to the teachings of the Ahlulbayt. We are in a Hindu country. If we mix very easily, we'll lose our children. These are all these fears. Or aap log samajh sakte hain, you the parents who come from back home, come here, you're afraid, there's a fear there. If I let my child to be friends with John and Graham tomorrow, to kal cross lag jayega, parson Christmas tree aayega, aur phir, yeah, fear hota hai. This is, you understand the fear. Sometimes that fear leads us to do rational things, and sometimes the fear will push us to do irrational things. This is one of those cases. Sadat, and I'm not preaching, I'm just, excuse the fact that I'm a Syed. The family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, are to be respected, and there is respect for them. Sadat-e-Aale Rasul, unki respect honi chahiye. Why? Because of the nisbah they have, because of the connection they have with Rasulullah, because they're related to Rasulullah. If nothing, inke khoon mein thoda sa Rasulullah ka gene maujood hai. And you don't respect them, why? Because of the nisbah. Because of your love for Rasulullah, you respect them. Okay? Now a hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says, wilayati li aliyin ahabbu ilayya min wiladati minhu. Imam Sadiq says, my wilaya for Ali, my love for Ali is more loved to me than my wilada, my birth from Ali. Me loving Ali is more important to me than being born from Ali. So wiladat zyada muhim ho gayi, wilayat zyada muhim ho gayi. Which is more important, wilaya or wilada? So if somebody comes into the fold of wilaya, koi farak padta hai? Don't use this at prejudice, because it's misused. People say hum Sayyid, yahan pe main keh sakta hu. People say hum Sayyid hai and we are better than the rest of you. No, you're not. Allah ye siyadat chhin lega. Naslein aapki bhool jayenge ki aap Sayyid the. If we, and I'm talking to the, I don't know the Sadat here, Allah, those I know that I know. If the Sadat don't behave themselves, 2-3 generations and your Sadat is gone. Your children will forget their Sadat, and Allah will make it happen. Because you abused this right of being a Sayyid. If you abuse this right and you make it a point of prejudice, Allah will take the Siyada away from you. Aapke bacche aaj naam kya likhenge Sayyid falan falan, tomorrow the grandson will stop writing Sayyid, and the 4th generation won't know that you're Sayyid. Because you abused the right. Agar waqi Sayyid hain, to behave like the family of Rasulullah. Your hijab, your character, your behavior with people, your behavior in school, college, university. Agar aap waqi us ghar se apne aap ko nisbat dete hain, to start behaving like that. Otherwise, there's no point of carrying yourself. We spoke about how Imam Ali alayhi salatu salam was. We spoke about how Imam al-Hasan alayhi salatu salam was. How they used to treat people, how they used to behave with people. How they were with people, mixed with people, mingled with people. Salman, who had no roots in Arabia. Salman al-Farsi, who had no roots in Arabia, Rasulullah says, Salmanu minna Ahlulbayt. Salman belongs us to the Ahlulbayt. People who were indifferent to what your color was, what your caste was, what your religion was. Rasulullah will accept you if you're Bilal, Rasulullah will accept you if you're Salman, Rasulullah will accept you if you're Abu Dhar. Why do we have these differences? But this is human nature. We like to other it. This is human nature, this is how we behave. So is it right, is it true, and is it correct that someone who's as esteemed as Imam Ali alayhi salatu salam be dragged outside the mosque and forced into making bay'ah? Is it correct that people gather outside the house of Bibi Zahra salamullah alayha someone this merciful, and they threaten to burn down our house. Is it correct? Do they merit this? Did Imam al-Hasan alayhi salatu wasalam merit to watch his mother being tortured outside her house? Was it right for people to drag Imam al-Husayn into the battlefield of Karbala and Imam Hassan be punished the way he was forced by people? We have lost the way. Humans easily forget. Musa was with his qawm for a long time. Musa was with his people for a long time. He goes for 40 days and people start worshipping a cow. This is human beings. We deviate easily. We forget. So now what does Imam al-Husayn have to do? Imam al-Husayn has to stand on the plains of Karbala holding a child in his hand who is 6 months old, Ali Asghar. And Husayn ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, whose father is the Saqi of Kawthar. His father will feed all of us from the Kawthar tomorrow. Is standing there asking for water for who? For this child. Do you understand what we've done when we're ignorant, when we're not aware, when we're not looking around, when you do not know what society we live in? We forget the right and wrong. Does Husayn ibn Ali merit that he's standing in the place of desert with a little child of 6 months and asking people, Hal min nasirin yansuruna ama min mughithin yughithuna? Does he merit this? Did people not see what happened to him? Imam al-Husayn, what tradition tells us, what narration tells us, after everybody has passed away, after Abbas was killed, after Ali Akbar was killed, after Qasim was killed, Imam Hussain stands at the gates of the tent. He looks to the army. It is one Hussain. The minimum number we have, the smallest of digits we have is 30,000 people. 30,000 soldiers and one Hussain ibn Ali. He looks to the people and he looks around himself. What does he see when he looks around himself? He sees Abbas cut up, a hand here and the hand over there. He sees his own son Ali Akbar dead on the floor. He sees pieces of Qasim on the plains of Karbala. What does he see when he looks around himself? And he sees 30,000 people, all bloodthirsty, all want to kill Hussain. He looks around and he says, Hal min nasirin yansuruna ama min mughithin yughithuna? Is there nobody who can help us? Is there none of you want to help us? Who? Hussain ibn Ali. I am the son of Zahra. I am the son of Rasulullah. I am the one Kaaba gives salam to. Ana ibn Safa wal Marwa. This is what the Imams have said. And then they hear from the camps, women wailing. He goes inside. He says, what is wrong? What is happening? Why are you crying? He says, Ali Asghar, he cannot contain himself. Ever since you said, Hal min nasirin yansuruna, this child, he does not stop crying. Imam Hussain holds him and he embraces him and he goes outside. Did Sakina know that her brother was going never to come back? Did Rabab know that my 6-month-old baby will be taken to the battlefield in Karbala? Did she even imagine this, that a baby in the arm of her father, of its father, is to go outside and come back with an arrow bigger than his own size? Can a mother even conceive that? Abbas was at the age of fighting. He'll go outside, he'll fight and he'll be killed. Ali Akbar, the mother, was prepared. The aunt was prepared. Qasim, the mother, was prepared. Who was prepared? Someone like Ali Asghar was to be taken to the battlefields and not to return. What the narration tells us, Imam al-Husayn alayhi salatu wasalam, he walks into the battlefield of Karbala and he has a baby in his hand. And he says, do you not have water to feed this child? What did I tell you? What Imam Ali did? At least 111 wells Ali dug. And now this is the grandson of Imam Ali, does not have a drop of water. Is this how you repay the family of the Prophet? What did I start with? The ayah? قُلْ لَا أَسَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. I do not ask you for anything in reward except for the love of the family. Ya Muslimin, O people, is this how you love the family of Rasulullah? That Hussain is standing here, a 58-year-old man, with a baby in his hand, 6 months old. How do you respond to his call? An arrow is shot, that pierces the baby's neck ear to ear. What must go through the heart of Imam al-Hussein at that time? Can you imagine this? How does Imam al-Hussein respond? You know what Imam Hussein says? He collects the blood of the baby and he looks at the heavens. And he rubs the blood of his baby on his face and he says, Hakada, this is how I will meet my grandfather Rasulullah. And I will complain to him and I'll tell him what this ummah has done to me. سَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Before we finish, there's a dua. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the love of His beloveds, that may Allah give siha, may Allah, Dr. Syed Darbar Ali Shah Masumi, who's a consultant surgeon, is currently very ill and is in the ICU in Ireland. We request prayers. We are sat here today. You pray for somebody else, somebody will pray for you tomorrow. Brothers, understand, and sisters, there's a lot of strength in your prayers, especially now that you've shed a tear or two. Use your prayers. Imam Ali is Amir al-Mu'mineen. Read Dua Kumail. You know what he says? La amliku illa dua. Ali has nothing except for dua. We have nothing except for dua. Use your dua. Is your biggest companion, biggest gift. When you're in trouble, use dua. When you're in difficulties, use dua. When you're alone, use dua. Let's use these duas today for this person who's unwell. May Allah give him swift recovery, make him come back to his family. Allah grant sabr to the family. It's not difficult to watch someone in the ICU. And also Surah Al-Fatiha for all the marhumin of those present here, especially Sayyida Ahmadi Khatun Abidi, daughter of Sayyid Sibte Hassan Abidi, and Sayyid Mustafa Hussain Abidi, son of Sayyid Murtaza Hussain Abidi. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Matam al-Husayn, ya Husayn, ya Husayn.
سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں یہاں سے چلو چلے کربلا وہیں پر تمہیں ملیں گے چچا ستم جو ہوئے بتانا انہیں دکھانا انہیں یہ کرتا جلا چچا جان کو دکھانا ذرا ردا خون برے چلو گھر چلیں سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلے بتانا انہیں سبھی سختیاں ملی اس قدر تجھے غر کیاں ہماری ردا لٹی کس طرح چھنی کس طرح تیری بالیاں بتانا انہیں بجھی کس طرح تیری تشنگی چلو گھر چلیں سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں بدر سے ملو تو دل جوئی ہو بتانا انہیں بہت روئی ہو قسم لو اگر تمہارے بنا سکینہ کبھی کہیں سوئی ہو لحد باپ کی ملی جب تجھے
تو کہنا یہی چلو گھر چلیں. سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں. سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں. بتانا انہیں سبھی سختیاں ملی کس قدر تجھے گر کیا. ہماری رضا لٹی کس طرح چھینی کس طرح تیری بالیاں. بتانا انہیں بھجی کس طرح تیری تشنگی چلو گھر چلیں. سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں. یہاں سے چلو چلے کربلا وہیں پر تمہیں ملیں گے چچا. ستم جو ہوئے بتانا انہیں دکھانا انہیں یہ کرتا جلا. چچا جان کو دکھانا ذرا ردا خون برے چلو گھر چلیں. سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی پدر سے ملو تو دل جوئی ہو. بتانا انہیں بہت روئی ہو. قسم لو اگر تمہارے بنا سکینہ کبھی کہیں سوئی ہو. لحد باپ کی ملے جب تجھے تو کہنا یہی میری اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں. سکینہ اٹھو میری جان اٹھو رہائی ملی چلو گھر چلیں. یا حسین یا حسین
السلام علیکہ یا رسول اللہ. السلام علیکہ یا نبی اللہ. السلام علیکہ بالقاسم المصطفى محمد ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. السلام علیکہ یا فاطمۃ الزہراء سیدۃ نساء العالمین. السلام علیکہ یا خدیجۃ الکبریٰ ام المؤمنین. السلام علیکہ یا علی بن ابی طالب امیر المؤمنین. السلام علیکہ یا حسن المجتبی. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر الأحد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام علیکم یا ائمة الہدى من ولد الحسین جميعا ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ لا سیما بقیت اللہ الأعظم. السلام علیک یا صاحب العصر والزمان سیدی الأمان 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 من فتن الزمان. السلام علیک یا شریف القرآن. السلام علیک امامنا امام الانس والجان. عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك وجعلناه من أنصارك وأعوانك والمستشهدين بين يديك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك وتمكنه فيها تقيا.